Hi there. We're here with Troy Fields. Troy Fields has been diagnosed with ALS about 2.5 years ago. Now, there's a whole lifetime before ALS, and before we get into what ALS has meant to you, what challenges it has given you, what various things you've done with it, let's take a moment to discuss what life was before ALS.
I think pretty much I'd say life was pretty good. I had my family, my kids and grandkids, um, a job that I loved with a phenomenal team that I worked with, and opportunity to travel throughout. So it was pretty good. Things seem to be kind of clicking in all cylinders.
Now, did you choose to leave your job, or was your job due to the circumstances of your ALS? Did you need to leave your job?
I definitely had to, not because my employer was trying to push me out. In fact, quite the opposite. They were so gracious and kept wanting me to stick around as long as possible, understanding some of the physical limitations I was experiencing at the time. Um, but I felt I couldn't really do my job the way that I was used to doing it and the way that I thought it needed to be done. So it was ultimately my decision. I also have to take into consideration that I didn't want to just simply work until the last moment where I couldn't really move anymore. I figured that I needed to allow myself a little bit of a window in there to be able to still enjoy certain things, kind of race against the clock. Be able to kind of do some of those things before I got to the point that I was pretty much totally incapacitated.
I do hear that you enjoy still discussing your work and being a little bit involved in it. Tell us about that.
Well, I've been really fortunate that I've worked with really some great folks, whether they were part of my team or colleagues, even former bosses. I've been very fortunate in my professional life that way, and after some time, you develop expertise that people keep coming back to, and so that felt great to keep getting calls every once in a while of folks that are saying, hey, I need to pick your brain, and that feels nice. Or just even they just want to chat and see how I'm doing, and so that's it's been nice that um, some of that knowledge and expertise has been able to still be of use to others.
Do you find that maybe in some way this might be part of your legacy that you pass on?
Uh, Surely, I think uh, we uh, we we look at ourselves based on what we've achieved, whether that is personal or whether that's professional. In this case, from a professional standpoint, uh, any time that I have somebody make a comment, former employee of mine or something, and point to uh, where I was able to be a benefit to them, to help them advance their career, or something they learned, uh, you know, from me. Any of those things certainly lets you know that you've helped that person, you've helped them advance in their own professional uh, career, and certainly uh, lets you know that you left a mark. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what legacy is all about.
So you have a few individuals or several individuals that still come to you and ask questions and need help. So why did you choose not to go down a consulting route?
Primarily, it's a financial reason. I think a combination of things, but mainly financial. The terms of my long-term disability really do not allow for other income. Basically, if you're able to work as a consultant, then you're able to continue working as in your past, in whatever you were doing at the time that I had to leave, which is not exactly a fair expectation, because one, it requires different skill set. There are things you can do from home as opposed to what I was doing before, etc. But it is what it is, and so I've had to kind of choose and not to really go down that route, so that I could be careful and not affect my disability benefits. But I'd say as well, I mean, my hands are, I can't really move my hands. So to be able to do a report as a consultant, to be able to put, PowerPoint together as a consultant to kind of make my point, that would be extremely difficult. So I had that to consider as well. There's probably ways that I could get around that, but it's still a consideration.
Okay. So I know that you have turned to other avenues of giving back since you have been diagnosed with ALS. Just mention real quickly what those are, and we'll discuss them later.
Yes, so starting back in March of 2019, I joined the board of directors of the Florida chapter of the ALS Association. And through my board involvement, I've been in the Care Services Committee, in the Fund Development Committee, and then I was asked to join in the Finance Committee. And now I start a term. I started February 1st of 2021 this year as treasurer of the Florida chapter. But I've also been invited in a couple of groups with National. One is a Patient and Caregiver Advisory Council. Another has been in an accounting work group to help National look at some things in their accounting systems and structure. And just more recently joined the Patient and Caregiver group to help our advocacy and representation within the ALS community and movement.
Well, thank you very much for talking with me, and we'd like to get back with you and have more conversations on what life is like having ALS.
Anytime.